Hi, today I'm sitting down with Abby Russell, who is the new owner of Russell Real Estate Solutions. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I just want to introduce Abby a little bit. She has actually been in the business for 16 plus years. She started out as a paralegal for an attorney in Corning, correct?
I was there for a few years. Before that, I was in Binghamton.
Okay. I did not know that part.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. So you learn something new every day. So I wanted to sit down with Abby and kind of talk about the process of buying a house, her experience, and any tips she can give to potential buyers out there that want to know a little bit about this whole process. So I'm going to let Abby start and we'll go from there to see if there's anything I can contribute on that. So
Sure. First and foremost, definitely need to pick your right team. I think everybody involved in the process really needs to come together, not just in, finding the right agent, finding the right loan officer, but we all have a really good network of people that we work well with. So I'm big on making sure that you have the right team. Everybody works well together. So starting off with either your loan officer or with an agent that you know or your family knows really does help the process out. And then utilizing the people that we use. We all have our list of favorites. We all have our list of people that we work and communicate well with. So starting off there really does help the process get off on the right foot.
Okay.
So, but first and foremost really is the pre-approval process.
Pre-approval, yep. So typically, if Abby and I are working together on a particular buyer, she'll say, okay, I sent over so-and-so to you. That person contacts me, and then what I do is I usually sit down with the person, and we'll go through the full application, and then that's when I determine what you qualify for, which loan program is best for your needs, and the max I can take you to. Does not mean that you're always comfortable going that high, nor do you have to go that high, but we do actually verify the income at that point and verify everything to make sure that you're truly qualified. So when I give Abby a pre-approval letter, it's solid. There'll be no hiccups down the road. So once I send the pre-approval, I will send a copy to you and then to Abby. And then at that point, you start shopping with you.
Yeah. So the pre-approval process is really the first place to start because it doesn't only just set our budget, also sets the type of quality of a house that we can look for and also location.
Yes.
So it's huge that number one, we shop for the right house and we know where we're starting from the get-go with the pre-approval process. Also with that, making sure that you use a local lender, which is huge. Kathleen's very well known in the area. And making sure that when we do get to the point of putting an offer in, we are actually putting an offer in and with a good pre-approval that everyone knows and trusts. Because if you're competing, that is huge to make sure that you have a good pre-approval with a good company and a good loan officer that gives more comfort to the offer that you're putting in. So that's huge. So once I get the pre-approval back, I set you up in the system. You start getting notifications, not just for something that you might have set up for yourself, but also in my own website and system to make sure that you're getting any and all houses that can pop up in the area for in your budget. And I kind of keep you stuck to that. You tell me what you want to afford. You set the parameters for that. And then we kind of make sure that you stick to within your comfort zone, what your needs are, kind of what your wants are. And we start looking in a broad spectrum to make sure that you're getting what you want and need in a home. Mm-hmm. And then we just start, that's where the fun is actually looking for a home.
Right. Yes.
Before the grind really hits.
Right.
Looking for the house is the fun part. So we go out, we match each other's schedules, making sure that when something comes up, we try to get in right away. And when we do find the right one, if there's any support systems that you do have, make sure you bring them to showings with you so that we get in, everybody sees the property, everyone helps you make those decisions so that we don't
have to make
waste time and make multiple trips to the property. And we can just go ahead and get the offer right in and hopefully be the first on the table and the only offer on the table.
Right.
But I help you through all of the process of, your agent's going to definitely help you through all the whole process of making sure that the offer is written well with the appropriate contingencies of inspection, financing, and making sure if you have a home to sell, things like that, all of those pieces need to be in there so that you're protected along with moving forward. You have the contingencies that you need to make sure that you're going to be comfortable buying that house.
Yes. I mean, I think that's why when you said that using a local lender is important, because we do communicate with the agents here. We know the agents. We see them at the grocery store. We're part of the community. We may even see them at their kids' ball games, things like that. So we really sit down when she's saying to make sure that she writes a good contract, because we tell the local lenders will tell the agents what program they're doing, if they need sellers concessions, if they do everything. So at the jump, your contract is written correctly. You're not going back multiple times and doing addendums or changing things.
Right.
It's done correctly, it's solid, and it's going to make the transaction smooth throughout the whole process.
Exactly.
So when you're using somebody that's not here, it can be very hard to get them on the phone.
And nothing's more awkward than going back to a seller saying, oh, we need to adjust everything that we just put together and agreed to. I'm going to need to put 6% into an offer, and they're going to hesitate. And if another offer's on the table, you're no longer getting that house. So it's very important to make sure that we get things correct and we're all on the same page from the get-go.
Right from the jump. And then when you're also shopping with Abby, what I do for my clients is there's a lot of people that are, whether they're, very payment driven or very much cash to close driven. I will run cash to close worksheets on particular houses that you see with Abby, so you know before you even put in an offer exactly how much you're going to need at closing and then what your payment's going to be. So when you actually sit down with me to do the mortgage, you're not blindsided by anything.
And that is huge.
It is huge. It just gives you a peace of mind. And it also, you're getting into a legal binding contract. And if you don't like a particular thing and you're already in that contract, it's very hard to get you out of that contract. And at that point, you may lose your earnest deposit money too, because we can't just deny you because now what they say, buyer's remorse. So we really want you to have all the numbers up front before you actually do put in an actual offer.
One thing I appreciate you, every time I've asked, I get it within a split second sometimes.
Right. And and honestly, I tell my clients when I sit down with them, I'm very candid. If you need me to run 50 of them and that's going to give you peace of mind, I will run 50 of them.
Yeah.
If you need me to give you a roundabout figure and that's going to give you peace of mind, I can do roundabout. I'm OCD. I go to the tax website. I need to give you specific numbers, so I may still just do it for my peace of mind and tell you it's roundabout, but I really do want my clients to have the figures before they put it in an offer.
It prevents buyer's remorse if you do it that way. Because if you have all the answers up front, you're making an important decision, a huge decision that includes a lot of money. It's really important that you have all the answers up front at your fingertips so that you don't make a mistake throughout the process. This is a big, important thing. Take your time, as much time as you can, depending on if we have to compete for houses or not. But if you have all the pieces, the right people on your back, you can definitely make good decisions going forward. So definitely something. I've had people look for houses for a weekend. I've had people look for houses for 3 years. Always had Kathleen there to run numbers for either that weekend or those 3 years. So I do appreciate it.
Right? That's what we're here for. It's really just putting the client's needs, first and making sure everything is in their best interest is what we're here for. So they find their dream home, they go under contract, and then what do you do?
Put the offer in, we get it accepted, and then from there, the work starts really. So we have to put down our earnest money deposit. There's a certain amount of money that you have to have up front. So always talk to your agent about what cash you're going to need in advance and how that affects the money that Kathleen's given you for kind of your number run. But then also money goes down for your good faith, we call it. That just shows that you have something to lose if you just get up and walk away. And then from there, we contact our attorney. We pick your attorney that you want to use. A lot of times we do try to pick an attorney that can also work for the bank. There's a lot of people that go into the process of helping you close and buy a house. A lot of times we try to eliminate the more hands in the pot.
Correct.
So that is a big thing. Again, if we stick with local lenders, local people, a lot of times the local lenders do work with the majority of all of our attorneys in the area as well. So kind of everything's bing, bang, boom right off the get-go. The work really does start, and then we pick our home inspector. We definitely need a home inspector to get into the house right away. Usually we have a good couple of weeks to make sure that the home inspector can get in. We get all the things looked at and checked out that we want to check out. And if there is something wrong, we do have to get contractor estimates still, which is very difficult. So this is something that everybody is incredibly busy. We need to make sure that we do have written estimates to abide by our contracts still. We're hoping that can change soon, but that has not come to fruition yet. So contractor estimates is a big part of it. So we want to make sure that your inspection is done quickly. So if we do need estimates or we do need to have conversations about repair, that we can go back and have enough time to get people in there and get the estimates that we need. because it is a renegotiation point in the contract if major defects do come up.
Right, what they found in the inspection, right?
Right.
So like they'll tell you exactly what's in there, and then that's when you get the contractor estimates.
Yeah, your inspector's going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Again, we give recommendations for the people that we like and use over the years, and the good people in the area that have done a really good job for everybody. So definitely something that you want to make sure that you get some good recommendations on. But the inspector will walk you through everything. I think it's really important. I've seen a lot of people not show up for their inspections and just want to see the report. I think it's really important to have the face-to-face conversations still. Make sure you go to the inspection, run down everything with the inspector, because what he puts on paper and what he has to put on paper could be very different from the conversation you have with him in person.
Yep.
So I think it's really important to make sure that you're there, you have those face-to-face conversations, you see exactly what he's putting in the report too. And then, ask as many questions as you can going through that process, because that is the hardest part to get through.
Yeah.
Everything's up and up and up, and everybody's so excited to find the house that they love. And then you have
the inspection.
Somebody come in, just rip it apart.
Right. Well, so not always rips it apart.
Not always.
We don't want to scare you by any means.
But it is the only downer we have generally.
Most of the houses are older around here, so nothing's going to be perfect. But
we do have an aging housing supply.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yes, it's a great way to put it. So, the inspection does not always, have all the bad things where you need
there's always going to be something in an inspection. There's going to be little outlets here and there, but we're looking for, when we talk about inspection major defects, we're talking about things that are huge, like
foundation,
thousands of dollars, that you can't just have your dad come and fix on the weekend.
Right.
We want to make sure that, somebody is really going to need to, come in, repair it. And it's going to be a significant amount, or it's a safety concern. Most of the time is, something that we need to have a conversation with, because the sellers really should have been living with this. Either recently or for all these years. So, and a lot of times it's a hard conversation to have, because neither the seller probably knew about it or the buyer expected it. Because a lot of times when we're going through properties, I've been through hundreds of houses every single year. I can point things out to buyers.
Right.
But at the same time, if it's most of the time it's unknowns. When an inspector goes in, he starts crawling through crawl spaces, he pulls the furnace apart, he pulls the electrical apart. And then certain things that I'm certainly not going to do during just a walkthrough. So we want to make sure that, he does get in the nooks and crannies. And when we're actually having these conversations, there's major concerns. We get, again, the right people in there, the right inspector, the right contractors, just so that, again, if you do move forward with the property at that point, you have peace of mind knowing it's going to get corrected and corrected properly. Or at least you have maybe some concessions, or at least you have the knowledge of what the house has to offer.
So let's just say, off of Abby's example, that the house has some issues and the inspector quotes, that the repairs may be $9,000. So at that point, Abby would go back to the sellers and then renegotiate the contract. However, that falls out. So you go back and renegotiate. Maybe you get the house for less than $9,000. Maybe you guys meet in the middle. They pay half, you pay half, and you come down, $4,500 or something like that. So once that's all settled and you do agree to move forward, and this is where I think Abby really sets herself apart, is she actually sends the purchase offer to everybody that's involved in this transaction. So we all get the purchase offer at the same time. When I say all that's involved, talking all the attorneys, you to me, so we know to get the ball rolling on this property, because now the inspection's taken care of, and then we know to contact you to set up the time for you to come in and do the mortgage application, where I collect all the rest of the supporting documents. We go through the mortgage application and we move it forward on the mortgage side, as far as ordering the appraisal, getting the commitment letter done, which we do stand out at Movement. I will say our commitment letters turn around anywhere from 6 hours to 24 hours.
It's amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
It's
not going to lie.
Breath of fresh air.
It's pretty spectacular. Like the first time I got that, I was like, wait, what? I didn't have to wait 10 days.
Contracts to you, and I got the commitment within the same day. It's really unreal.
And why we like the fact that the commitment letter comes out so fast is because the attorneys won't work on anything typically until they have that commitment letter. They won't order title, they won't order survey, things like that. So the faster we get this out, the faster your file moves ahead. So it's just a huge help to everybody involved. So we get through the mortgage process. We're the appraisal comes back, everything looks good. We then issue you clear to close. So when we send the clear to close notice, my assistant Leanne CCs everybody, and that's both parties, both sides, both attorneys. Everybody is included that you're now clear to close. So at this point, it's up to the attorneys to schedule closing. So you get your closing date scheduled, and then you go to the closing table with whichever attorney you do pick. And then Abby's going to kind of walk you through like what actually happens at the closings, because it's kind of like a secret.
So I think one thing you did say I do like is that, everybody's in communication. And I started that process a long time ago because it's always been, I'm waiting for so-and-so to give me this, and then I have to go back to somebody else to find. If everybody's in the same communication throughout the entire process, we don't have any of that. Right. It eliminates the finger pointing. It eliminates, I'm missing something. Yep. Everybody is a part of the same communication, one email chain. Everybody gets it. Everybody knows where the process is at. It eliminates a lot of work for everybody.
Yes, it does. I mean, it's fantastic.
Just efficiency through and through.
Well, it's helpful on the lender side as well, because we actually see who the paralegal is. There are a lot of attorneys in the area that have multiple paralegals, and they're assigned to each file. And so it's nice to know who's going to be attached to that file, and she knows that ahead of time, and she sees all the proper people in. So it's really helpful on the lender side that we know that off, right from the beginning. So that's why I love it when people send everybody that. So.
Yeah. So, and the other thing too is once we do get clear to close from Kathleen, they are so much faster than a lot of lenders that a lot of times there's still work that the attorneys have to do. Give them some time. Yeah. Just once we get clear to close, it's not an immediate closing.
Right. That is true.
The attorneys might get yelled at by a few.
Yeah. So I mean, that is true. I mean, we do target at movement, at least to get clear to close within 20 days. That is our target goal, to have you done clear to close within 20. If we can do it sooner, obviously we'll do it sooner. Yeah. And then we just do wait for the attorneys to get the title work and the survey back, and then the abstract and all of that done. Yeah. So
we do have some really great attorneys that are pushing everything through. As soon as we get the contract to them, they're getting the abstract surveys ordered. A lot of things are moving faster than they ever have before. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. Yes. And I think, everybody's just kind of falling in line. Movement's moving everything incredibly quickly. Attorneys are moving things forward faster than they ever have before.
We're trying to.
Get in there. We're heading towards the right direction.
To get that momentum up to 30 days.
I would love it. I've been done it before I get tired.
Maybe in the next 15 years we'll hit 30. Yeah. So that's our goal, right?
Before we both retire. Okay. So once we get the clear to close, attorneys are ready. Everybody's put their blessing on that file, and the stamp of approval. We can definitely go towards the closing. Finally, can be scheduled. The attorneys are the ones that actually schedule the closing. Just remember, there's a lot of hands in the pot, a lot of people to coordinate. So it probably won't be the next day. There are some lender requirements for scheduling out, for funding the file, and then also the attorneys need to coordinate a good handful of people as well to make sure everybody signs. There are a lot of people still having buyer and seller sign separately. So buyer and seller would be still meeting separately within their attorney's offices, and then couriering the file to the buyer's attorney for the final closing. That's how most of my closings have been, where it's just the buyer and their attorney going to closing. But prior to that, with the buyers that I've been working with, we have to schedule all your utilities switched over, making sure that we do a final walkthrough either the night before or the day of closing, generally, if we can help it. A lot of times you don't want to do those too far in advance because anything can happen, especially in wintertime. You want to make sure that we get there usually right before closing if we can help it. Either the night before or the day of is always best. Yes. Calling utilities, I do encourage people to, especially sellers, give a day after. We've had a lot of utilities shut off this last 2 years. For whatever reason, a lot of people give the day of closing, and then it seems like NICEAG wants to get there a day ahead of time. So if we can help it, give a day following closing, and buyers, make sure you call in advance. Don't wait for the day of closing to call utilities.
Yes, that's good advice.
Huge because it's caused a lot of headaches, a lot of delays. We don't want that to happen. Right. Especially now in the winter months.
It can really
don't
want that shut off. No.
We've both been through some nightmares.
Yes, no.
So we do our final walkthrough. Hopefully everything's fine. If for some reason something does come up, sellers mistakenly took something that they shouldn't have, or movers, a lot of times they just start packing and they pack everything.
Yeah. Yes.
So we do get into occasions where there are some mishaps that happen during the final walkthrough. So we address it. It's a conversation to be had, and we see where the conversation goes. You can, ask for things to be remedied. You can ask for things just like in an inspection, ask for a remedy, ask for money to be sent back, or we can delay closing until things are actually corrected. A lot of times it's always best to work with somebody, making sure people can communicate well. And a lot of times people, you all want the same thing. Seller wants to sell, buyer wants to buy. Why not work together?
Yep.
So it's all a matter of just making sure that we communicate and make sure that we all work on the end goal. And then we all go to closing. So again, because of COVID, things have changed around quite a bit. A lot of times it's just me sending you guys off to closing. You guys go to closing with the key from the final walkthrough. If for some reason we're not allowed the key prior to closing, I will either drop it off to your attorney or we get it to you right following closing. So during closing, it's a lot of signing. You got to kind of stretch out your hands, get ready. But there's really, it's probably one of the easiest parts of the whole process.
It is.
A lot of stress leading up to it, but everyone's like, well, that was easy.
And that's a great thing too about movement. That's a little bit different. We send a lot of the docs ahead of time. So you'll actually sign everything electronically, most majority of them ahead of time before you actually get to the closing table. So you're going to have those saved and they're going to come to you directly. You're not sitting at the table for 3 hours signing. You're actually doing it right on the computer, usually the day before or a couple of days before. So that is a nice feature. I've noticed that our closings don't take as long. Makes it go a lot
smoother,
Yeah.
So going to closing, you're going to want to bring a picture ID. Your attorney will advise the amount of the check that you'll need to bring to closing, and that'll need to be brought in the form of a bank check or some kind of certified funds, wire, things like that. But really, you need to bring yourself. You need to make sure that you're ready to close and take on the responsibility of the house, and then your attorney will kind of guide you through the entire paperwork process. Really, you don't show, you don't pay, you don't sign, you don't get the house.
Right, pretty much. That's
so, but it is incredibly simple. Once you get to closing, there's a lot of paperwork. They'll go through the survey. They'll make sure that all the check boxes on the contract were formally done. They'll explain everything to you. If you have a well and septic, they'll show you the well and septic test. They'll go through the survey. They'll go through, show you what the abstract was and everything that they've been reviewing. You'll get title insurance for the property. And really, it's an easy process. There's a lot. You'll see why the attorney took a while.
Yes, there is a lot to it. So, I mean, overall, basically what we wanted to get out of this video is just to explain that although it seems like a lot that we just said to you, it doesn't have to be overwhelming and scary. If you pick the right team that's going to stand behind you, we're going to walk you through every step of this process. We're not going anywhere. We all live locally. I know Abby gives out her cell number. We're text friendly. We text all the time. I mean, we don't want you throughout this process to ever lose sleep or feel like it's overwhelming. We're actually here for you to lean on and to be there for you. So that's pretty much why I wanted to sit down with you and kind of walk through your process and help the buyers out there that are kind of on edge and nervous about doing this. Like, it's scary. I mean, it can be scary if you pick the wrong team, but if you pick the right team and pick people that you truly trust and click with, and we're going to be there for you till the end. And after closing, it's exciting. It's definitely worth it. I mean, just the reward of having your own home and making it your own, and however you want to make it. When you live in an apartment, you can't do certain things. And when you're paying, rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage, and this is all yours. And there's just a sense of pride and it's just a sense of freedom. It's a weird feeling, but it's so great when you actually walk in your own house.
It does feel overwhelming at first, but I will say, if you ever have questions, even, not just at the time of closing or right after closing, I have talked to clients for years. This is a process that goes on and on and on. My phone is always on for all of my clients, all of the people I've ever talked to. And I know Kathleen is no different. If you ever have mortgage questions, or you need thinking about refinancing, I mean, she's never forced anybody into anything, but the conversation, educating clients is always there. So it's definitely, I've enjoyed this career more than you know, and definitely something I'm going to continue doing for a very long time to come.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
you.
It was a pleasure seeing you again.
You too.
And congratulations on your new office.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. If you have any questions, our numbers will be at the end of this video. So you can reach out to Abby or myself if you need anything. And we're always here to help. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.